something else about freedom of speech you should know about, and that would be sarcasm, ridicule, and satire. These are elements of freedom. And yet, do you know that there was a time in the history of England when people could be condemned to death for using satire, sarcasm, and ridicule towards their rulers? I'd like to show you what that looks like. It's behind me in one of the masks, actually. I'll hold it up for you right now for those of you who are going to see this on a video one day. Here is what they would like to do to talk show hosts in America who do not espouse the Obama-Brown line. They'd like to put a bit in our mouth and forbid us from speaking. But we can use derision, my friends. We can use all of these tools, including sarcasm. What is sarcasm? Sarcasm's a harsh or bitter derision or irony, a sharply ironical taunt, a sneering or cutting remark, a review full of sarcasms. That's freedom of speech, sure to offend those targeted. You think I limit it to the left? You're wrong. I also offend doctrinaire knee-jerk Republicans such as George Bush and his administration. I don't limit my criticism to the Democrats or the liberals. When I point out the contractor abuses in Iraq and Afghanistan, whose freedoms was I denying? This is Michael Savage. I'll be right back. What I'm about to say to you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and I challenge Gordon Brown to put his hand on a King James Bible and say that everything he's about to say is the truth and nothing but the truth. All right. And I want to repeat again that I don't just go after liberals or Democrats. For years, I criticized the contractor abuses in Iraq under George Bush. Whose freedoms was I denying then? You have to understand that I am an independent. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am not a liberal. I'm not really a conservative. By definition, I'm probably a nationalist. But that's a discussion for another time. But whose freedoms was I denying when I pointed out the contractor abuses for years on my radio program? Was it the freedoms of the military-industrial complex to rob the public? President Eisenhower once warned us to beware the military-industrial complex. I played his speech on my show over and over again. Now, who was I criticizing by playing that speech, Democrats or Republicans? I'll let you decide. When I state that our Army and Marine heroes are being sent in to fight door to door and suffer and die, and then they are given court-martials if they do their job a little too well, because Obama is either the most hesitant or incompetent commander-in-chief in the history of this nation, whose freedoms am I denying? President Bush said he would not have politicians telling our generals how to conduct the war. Well, I wonder, was he not a politician telling generals how to conduct the war? No war, whether it was in Iraq under Bush or Afghanistan and Iraq under Obama, no war has ever been conducted like this. The same mistakes are being repeated by Obama in Afghanistan. Again, how about another issue? The monster issue, the one that they all want to hide, the issue of 30 million illegal aliens swarming across the United States of America. When I call illegal aliens invaders, and I present the social and fiscal drain that this invading army of illegal aliens is causing on our society, whose freedoms am I denying? Who am I offending? Is it the doctrinaire, knee-jerk Republicans or the Democrats? Probably both. When I, Michael Savage, support my position for borders, language, and culture, do I deny my fellow citizens their rights to redress their grievances to a government all too eager to continue flooding our nation with cheap laborers? When I present the fact that 30% or 1 out of 3 prisoners in federal prison is an illegal alien who came to this nation, 1 out of 3 prisoners in federal prison is an illegal alien who committed a felony, somebody who didn't belong here to begin with. Do I deny or do I grant my fellow U.S. citizens their right to speak freely through me, a talk show host? Whose rights was I offending? Whose rights was I denying? Certain special interests, I would assume. If these and other like opinions of mine were mine alone, I would not have risen to this position I now enjoy in the world of the spoken and written word. In fact, I am the voice of the voiceless, who have been marginalized and silenced by the illiberal liberals who control virtually all avenues of images and ideas that the world now sees. All images and ideas controlled by the radical left, with the limited exception of conservative talk radio, the most vulnerable medium, now under attack by the new National Socialists who would, well, I really should say the new National International Socialists, who would ban free speech that they disagree with by threatening sponsors through extortionist means of false boycotts or by using other techniques, but wanting to achieve the same ends of any dictatorship. And what is that end? The total control of speech, which is the opposite of freedom of speech. Not only is this politically incorrect, it is categorically incorrect. So-called political correctness has no place in a free society. In conclusion, I want you to remember this. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was written not to protect polite speech. It was written to protect offensive speech. Vigorous, loud debate is the hallmark of a free society, not the pitiful morgue of politeness. I'm Michael Savage, and I've just presented my arguments against political correctness in a speech that was supposed to have been broadcast to England, to the Cambridge Debating Society, but was arbitrarily cut off just before broadcast by a group of children who have inherited a great university's debating society and have trashed it owing to pressures by the Gordon Brown administration, in my opinion.